Why are so many people determined to defend abusers they don't know or never even met? Most people base their beliefs on their own experience. For almost everyone, their parental experience is, my parents do some annoying things. Sometimes really bad things. But also a lot of good things. And I do think that they care about me deep down. It is hard for them to imagine parents being totally uncaring, totally selfish, etc. So they are inclined to give your parents the benefit of the doubt. My sister and ex-fiancé slept together and concocted so many stories about me. My brother supported it and bragged about it. My brother slept with all my sister's married friends. They all made me the bad guy. I went dormant in all my family relationships. Nieces, nephews, in-laws. I left everyone behind. I left all social media except Reddit. My sister and ex-fiancé are both deceased. My sister was a drug overdose and ex-fiancé died of issues related to smoking. Both were in their 50s. Years later I have people apologizing to me and realizing I didn't do anything. I don't care about any of them. I could be wrong, but in my experience, a lot of it comes down to ignorance. There's also the stigma surrounding talking about abuse, the desire to believe the best of people, and, more significantly, the mistaken belief that a good percentage of victims are lying about their abuse or blowing it out of proportion. People who make the kind of statements you describe may not even consciously consider why they believe what they're saying. People don't know how to react. They almost always assume that you need to be cheered up, so they try to minimize the issues that you are pointing out. It's almost like you need to start by saying that you need to vent and are not looking for a pep talk. In my experience, when people do that, it's because they're identifying with the abuser, not the victim. That doesn't necessarily mean they're abusive themselves, but they're defaulting to the perspective of, if my spouse, children, etc., felt this way about me, here's what I'd want someone to say. There is always another version of the story. Sometimes the people that claim to be the victims are the criminals. Sometimes people see something that you don't. Sometimes people simply distrust simply because they want to. They are all valid reasons. And I believe that anyone with common sense shouldn't simply trust one version of the story just because one claims to be the victim. Some people just like arguing to argue. Those people are idiots. You can't reason with them. Hearing both sides of the story is not defending the accused. It is defending the ideal of hearing both sides of the story. I worked at a youth center a few years ago. Despite having a father who worked in guidance, I nonetheless would not have gotten hired had I not promised to always get both sides of the story. Now, to be fair, I didn't always live up to these ideals. I'm only human, but I'm not going to pretend my failure to is a good thing. People do this with all kinds of things. The idea of victimization scares them, so they have a knee-jerk response to deny, minimize, justify stories of victimization. Some of them might also be parents who fear that their own kids might go low or no contact with them someday, and they're projecting that, or they're still in touch with their abusive parents, and your freedom threatens them. Simple. People lie. Sad but true that there are people in the world not above completely making something up to get back at someone else, or even just for attention. It's easier to definitively take sides when we know the people involved. When it's just a news story about celebrities, people we've never met, it's probably more of a 50-50 chance we're not getting the whole story. People's responses to trauma can be pretty varied. There's a lot to do with their perception, and how much they can trust the information, and the source of the information. There are also types of people who have been caring in the past, but got tricked by someone saying they had bad lives, when in reality it was normal things that they blew out of proportion, thereby ruining the caring person's ability to trust others that may come to them with issues. Just like pain tolerances vary from person to person, so do levels of what people consider abuse. From my own experiences, I've learned that it doesn't matter who I tell, or in what manner I use to explain. I can't take it personally when they don't react in the way I expect they should. I hope what I said makes sense, and/or is able to be helpful. Probably scared someone they abused will stand up too. I had a coworker once that had a lot of issues with a lot of people. Her old boss, her parents, other former coworkers, etc. And I believed her that these people were problematic towards her for a long time. As I began to meet the people she often complained about, I learned they were all lovely people, and as soon as they held her even the least bit accountable, she would cut them off, leave, and then talk bad about them to form her victimhood narrative. As I get older and accrue more and more of these experiences, I'm more likely to say things like, "I'd like to hear the other side of the story." I am just cynical of people who complain about strangers to me at this point, because nobody wants to believe that some people are just generally mean. I totally agree with you. There is no reason for people to say the things that are so common. When people say, "They're still your parents," my first thought is, that's why I won't have anything to do with them anymore. Why would I associate with people who would treat their own child the way they treated me? Because guilty until proven innocence is the last thing we need in the current landscape. They do the same with those close to them. People don't want to look at themselves. To acknowledge abusive behaviors in others might involve acknowledging the same in themselves or their loved ones. And it's easier just to bury their head in the sand. Sadly, I think way less people have self-awareness or integrity than we'd like to think.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.